If I sold this home for all cash, I would have made about $30,000. Instead, I sold it on seller financing, made $45,000 plus 10% interest, which is gonna make me about $55,500 in total. The strategy that made the difference, I became the bank. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how that works, what it is, why it works for mobile homes, how to structure the deal, and what this has actually produced for me, showing you two real deal examples. If you're flipping mobile homes and only selling for cash, then you're leaving money on the table. And if you're thinking about getting into mobile homes and you want to make passive income, let me show you how. Here's what I discovered. Most people who are looking to get into mobile homes are focused on one thing only, which is finding the deals. And it makes sense because that's the first step. How do I find them? How do I source them? How do I secure them? But there's something that matters just as much, and it's what do I do with the deal once you have it? How you sell it, because that one decision, cash versus seller financing, can literally double your profit on the same home. And the interesting part about this is mobile home buyers, it's harder for them to get bank loans than it is for traditional real estate. And we can see it as a problem, or you can see it as an opportunity for yourself. How can you bridge that gap? Because if you're willing to be the bank, if you're willing to hold that note and collect monthly payments, you become the only option that they have. And when you're the only option, you have the potential to charge more, and they'll happily pay it because it is still extremely affordable compared to anything else. And you can create monthly income, real passive income, long after that home is sold. I'm George Wohar. I've been flipping mobile homes since 2017, and I've done plenty of deals, dozens and dozens of deals on seller financing. So let me show you how this works. Let me break down the concept first, because once you understand the mechanics, then everything else will make sense. In a traditional sale, the buyer goes to the bank. The bank gives the buyer money. The buyer then gives you this money. You get your lump sum up front, and the buyer pays the bank every single month until the home is paid off with interest. Seller financing flips that. The buyer doesn't go to the bank, you become the bank. The buyer puts down a sizable down payment, ideally covering your all-in costs, and I'll go over exactly how that looks, and then makes monthly payments to you every single month until the home is paid off with interest. You are the bank, and this becomes passive income. You're not doing repairs, they're not calling you with issues, you're acting just as the bank would. They're simply making payments every single month, but you are a lien holder until the home is completely paid off. And if they end up not making the payments, then you can get that home back. What you hold is the promissory note. It's a legal document stating that the buyer owes you money on this home, stating you have a lien on this home, so the buyer can't do anything with the home because you have a lien on it. And if it comes down to it, you can get that home back. Why does this work? Especially for mobile homes inside of mobile home parks, because it's a lot more difficult for a buyer to get a mortgage or bank financing than it is for traditional real estate. Now, the options are out there, and there's more and more that are continuously coming up that will finance mobile homes, but they're a lot slimmer than options for traditional real estate. And maybe the buyer won't qualify because of a couple issues here and there. They can be strict because there's less of them, and they have more people to fulfill, as they're not competing with dozens and dozens and dozens of other banks or companies that are open to giving a mortgage on a mobile home. Now, the reason why there are less banks that are willing to do so, and they're usually specific companies like 21st Mortgage, different things of that sort, is because they're not getting anything. They're getting the mobile home if they own it, and they don't need the mobile home back. They're not getting land. Traditional real estate, they have a traditional home on land. They have the home, they have the land. But here, it's just the mobile home they will be able to put a lien on, and most banks don't really care about having a mobile home. Whether it's they don't have perfect credit, maybe they're self-employed, maybe the market just doesn't serve that area for financing for mobile homes inside of parks. Whatever that reason may be, they need a home, and that traditional path may be closed off. And when you offer seller financing, you become their only option. And the result of that is you make more money from this specific home. You get a higher sales price, ideally a down payment that covers your all-in costs, and monthly payments, passive income that comes in every single month. So let me walk you through two real deals where seller financing completely changed the outcome. Deal number one, I bought this home for $3,000. The acquisition cost for this home was $3,000. I put money into it, got it to selling condition, and then I had to decide how I wanted to sell it. Now, I knew going into this market, it was more of a seller financing market than an all cash market. And because this home was older than 1976, yes, banks typically will only ever finance on homes that are 1976 and newer. And when I say banks, those few companies that do finance 1976 and newer. Anything older, they typically will not finance, so there are no financing options. This was older than 1976, so I knew no bank would come into play. If I had sold this specific home for all cash, I would have made about $30,000, and it would have took longer because, again, this market didn't typically have cash buyers in it. Instead, I sold it on seller financing for $45,000. That's an additional $15,000 right there. But let me continue because we made more on it. On this home, the buyer put down $10,000, which covered my all-in costs on this home. $10,000 down as a down payment, and is making payments of $700 per month, which I have coming in every single month for the next, I believe, like 5.5 years, 6 years or so, at a 10% interest. So now, not only did I sell this home for $45,000, but in the end, I'm going to be making about $55,500 in total on this home. Now, if it wasn't me doing it, and if they got a bank loan, then the bank would have made that $55,500 on this home. Now, if it wasn't me financing and the bank financed, the bank would have made that interest on this home and said, we're collecting the interest. So do you see how it's working? Deal number 2, I bought this home for $1,400. My all-in costs, I was about $5,500 all in. Cash sale, maybe we would have made about $18,000. Reason being, this home wasn't even fully renovated, or we didn't even renovate it much. We took up the carpet, changed a few things. The buyer saw it and he wanted it, but he didn't have cash to buy it. And I didn't necessarily only want to sell a home for $18,000. So what happened? We sold it on seller financing, and we sold it for $28,500 plus a 10% interest. This buyer put $6,000 down on closing day, so I'm already in the green $500. So I want you to pick up on this. I'm already in the green, so it's already cash flow positive. And he was making payments of $352 every single month. Pure passive income coming in for me at this point in time. Again, my entire investment back on closing day, and then passive income every single month. Now this buyer, he told me he was gonna pay it off in 2.5 years, and that's what he ended up doing. Now here's the insight that changed everything for me. On both of these deals, I got my total investment back on the buyer's down payment on closing day before I even collect a single monthly payment. Everything after that is pure positive passive income. Let that really sink in. You don't get that with traditional real estate. If you're a landlord, you're collecting income every single month, but what are you doing? You're paying off the home, and then you have repairs and everything else that you have to deal with. Here, pure positive passive income coming in every single month. And if this kind of real actionable strategy is what you're looking for, not the motivational stuff, but what actually makes money and actually produces, then make sure to hit the subscribe button because we're posting stuff every single week like this. All right, let's keep going. Now that you understand the concept and you see what these numbers look like, let's talk about how to structure one of these deals. First, the sales price. How much do you charge when you sell on seller financing? The answer, more than you charge, more than you'd sell for if it was an all cash deal. Because you're not just selling a home, you're providing financing for them. You're taking on risk and you're collecting interest over time. And your sale should reflect that. I typically sell for 20 to 30% higher when we sell on seller financing. If a home is worth $30,000 for all cash, we may sell it for $40,000 to $45,000 on seller financing. That higher price is what pays for the financing that you're providing. Second is the down payment. How much do you ask for up front? Now, I typically, if I'm selling on seller financing, want to collect my all-in payment on the buyer's down payment. So if we're all in $10,000, I want $11,000 down. This doesn't work if you're doing a full gut renovation job and it costs you $30,000. Like if they're putting $30,000 down, they may have the availability to put down all cash. And if they do, totally cool. We're flexible. We sell deals for cash and we sell deals on seller financing. But it's finding what that ground is there. Now, you're not always going to collect your all-in costs on the buyer's down payment, but you want to get as close to that as possible. So if we're selling on seller financing, we always push for that number. And then obviously going back and forth with the buyer to seeing how much they can actually put down, but we want to get as close to our all-in costs as possible. Then third is the monthly payment. How much do buyers pay each month? Now, we go about it a little bit of a different way. How I go about it is once we're clear on the buyer's down payment, then we go back and forth and figure out what that monthly payment is. Obviously, their income, we see what their income is, we verify everything, we make sure everything's clean, everything's clear, and verify that they can afford the monthly payments. Then we go back and forth and see what's the most amount that they can pay monthly. We want to get it on the higher end. We want them to be able to make those payments and not be able to make any payments, but we want to see what the most amount that they can comfortably do monthly and hone in on that. And then obviously you can do your math as well. How long do you actually want to hold the home for? If you're looking at, okay, this is what our sales price is, this is how much they're putting down, this is what the interest is. Do you want to hold it for 5 years or up to 10 years? What is that balance for you? Where do you want to be? Because if you just want to get clear, hey, I only want to hold this home for 10 years, then you can do the math and say the monthly payment has to be this every single month. But we're open, we're flexible, but always want to be on the higher end of what the buyer can pay. And we'll typically hold homes for no more than 10 years, typically anywhere from 6 to 8 years. So if you look at it like this, on a $53,000 sale with $7,500 down, the remaining balance is $45,500. At 11% interest, if you're like, hey, we're gonna do it for 15 years, that comes to around $652 per month. And that exact number comes from a standard mortgage amortization formula. So you always want to be able to plug this in and provide this to your buyers as well. This is your amortization chart, so they know exactly what that looks like. You want to be clear. You need to verify that everything's good on their end, potentially even using an LMLO on your end, and you want them to know exactly what it is that they're getting into with financing. This is why we have these specific agreements that are signed. This is why we verify all the numbers and everything of that sort. And make sure you always use a proper promissory note. Have an attorney or title company handle the paperwork. We also have paperwork that we provide to our Academy members. So if you're interested in some of the paperwork and document, comment paperwork down below and we'll get it on over to you. And you need a legal document that states clearly what the buyer owes, when it's due, what happens if they miss a payment, and what happens if they default. This protects you legally, protects the buyer, and you're both fully aware and on the same page, literally. And a proper note means you can reclaim the home if needed, and the buyer knows exactly what they're signing up for, no surprises. Now, I know what you're thinking, you got questions, so let me answer them here. Is a mobile home buyer actually going to make their payments? Aren't they more likely to default? No, they're not. You have a buyer's and you have a renter's mentality. Our default rate is about less than 5%. Buyers and renters mentality. They have a buyer's mentality. This is their last real form of home ownership. They want to be able to own a home. They want something that they can call their own. They're also putting down a sizable down payment. They're committed. They're not a renter where they put down the first and last month's rent and don't care and they'll leave and they'll get up because they'll just move on to another place. This is a buyer who wants this home for themselves and their family and is putting down a sizable down payment. So they don't want to just bail on that $10,000, $15,000 down payment that they put down. You're also making sure that they're verified. Credit checks, background checks, income verification checks. Now, a lot of times the parks will do this for you as well because they verify because they want to make sure their lot rent's getting done, but make sure you have all these verifications in play so you have a qualified buyer that's coming in. And again, it's a buyer, not a renter, so they have a completely different mentality. Now, what if they stop paying? Mobile home repossession can be very fast. If a buyer stops making payments, you can reclaim the home quicker than a bank can reclaim a house. And here's the thing, that down payment acts as a buffer. On a $53,000 sale with $7,500 down, if they stop paying in month 2, you still have the $7,500 that they put down, and you can use that to cover the carrying costs while you reclaim the home and resell it. Your risk is managed, and what happens? You reclaim the home, you resell it for the same amount, you collect the down payment, and you go from there. But you don't want to take these homes back. This is why making sure they're verified is key, that they can make these payments. First and foremost, you have car dealerships out there, buy now, pay later car dealerships and different things of that sort, where their whole objective, where they charge like 25, 50% interest, their whole objective is just continue to get the car back and rinse and repeat and do the same exact thing. That's not your objective here. You're finding a family, you're providing a home for a family, you're doing a great service for people and making sure they can afford that so they can have a home that they can call their own and raise their family in, or XYZ. Now, another question that I get asked a lot is, does every deal need seller financing? And no, as I mentioned, we do seller financing on some deals, we do all cash on other deals. We're not always doing seller financing. Seller financing is a tool that we have in our tool belt, but we sell a lot of deals for all cash as well. I would say majority of our deals at this point in time, we're selling for all cash. And again, what matters a lot is how much work you're putting into these homes. If you're doing a full renovation, full gut job, then you're typically not going to sell it on seller financing because you put a lot of money into it and it's going to take a while to get that money back. The beautiful part about seller financing and when we do it is we're collecting majority of our, if not all of our all-in costs, or majority of that on the buyer's down payment, and those monthly payments move quick. Maybe you collect it in the first year and your total all-in costs are covered in the first year. Great. That's still a lot quicker than traditional real estate. But again, this is how we navigate to see if we're selling on seller financing or if we're selling for all cash. Now, here's the takeaway. If you're serious about getting into the mobile home business and really scaling the profits and moving this business quick, you're going to be using seller financing. And seller financing is great because this is how you collect real passive income in real estate. I don't really know many other ways to collect passive income like this in real estate. Drop a comment below and tell me, would you be more prone to selling your mobile homes on seller financing, or do you think you go the all cash route, or a combination of both? And if this video gave you a new way to think about deals, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe because we're all about mobile homes on this channel. And if you want to see this exact strategy applied to real deals, then make sure to subscribe because we're dropping videos multiple per week going over real deal structures. And I have a full deal breakdown that you can watch on my channel, watching exactly how we found the deal, purchased the deal, what we did to the deal, and how we sold it. So make sure to go check that out. If you want access to a free training where we break everything down, click down in the comments down below or in the description where we have our free training, and we have our free school community where we have other mini trainings inside there as well. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Happy investing.